thinking from the say on the behalf of customer, that if customer feels okay, you are really understanding my problems, just not giving me say grocery items.
Sure.
So that is what is the belongingness. So as you go more and more up, the kind of needs will be different.
Welcome to D50 After Dark, where we have conversations with leaders in Toastmasters District 50. I'm your host, Mickey Bennett, and today we will be having another conversation with our guest, Vijay Tambwekar, and we will be discussing his book, Customer Experience Decoded. It's going to be a fascinating conversation. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the show, Vijay.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to talk about your book, Customer Experience Decoded. Well, first let me ask you, what exactly is customer experience? What do we mean when we say that?
Customer experience is the experience what customer gets when he or she purchases services or products from someone, or just interacts with someone. So that's the customer experience.
Sure. And of course, we want them to have a great experience. Now, this book, Customer Experience Decoded, who is this book for? Who should read your book?
It is predominantly aimed at business to business interactions or business to customer interactions, but it also has a significant benefit when we are talking about person to person interaction, be it an individual to individual, like manager to subordinate, or brothers and sisters, or mother and child, or any other such kind of things, or even if you want to talk to yourself as a customer and have a self-improvement kind of progress measurement, and why we are not able to achieve our own growth or whatever, a satisfaction. Typically, most of the times person is with respect to self-satisfaction and of achievements and other things. You can use some of the model aspects which are mentioned, and that could be also useful for them.
That's a fascinating notion, to treat yourself as a customer and look at your own satisfaction. I know in your book you give a lot of different use case scenarios for the model that you propose. Is that one of the use cases in your book, a relationship with yourself, or no?
Yeah, I have given a couple of use cases there. One is for the relationships between two people, and one for self-improvement. So how do we really do? And I've given one simple example, but each one can look at it from their own perspective as to where we can use and how we can use and other things.
As someone who's really into personal development approaches, that I find that really fascinating. But first, tell me, why did you write this book? What compelled you to write this book?
Oh, that's something, we had to go 5 to 6 years back, where, IoT was new, Internet of Things. And we were supporting multiple customers on different initiatives. We are trying to, build some, proof of concepts for them. And then there was a lot of discussion of significant value add from various vendors or technologies, that if you implement certain things, you will get benefit. But in practical scenarios, we are not seeing that. And there was a lot of discussion around why a particular technology or product gives a benefit to one industry, one company in the industry, and then doesn't give it to the second company in the same industry in the same situation. And that triggered all the thought process of what's that customer experience about, and why really it doesn't give that kind of benefits. And that is how I started building onto my thought processes, and then I came up with a model, and all that kind of things started. How to do it. Again, measurement was a challenge. As it's a very subjective thing. Customer experience, it relates to a person, and it's psychology. The same person doing the same transaction will experience different experience levels or satisfaction levels
Yeah.
based on the surrounding or maybe some of the other stuff which affects them. So that is why, how do we really measure whether, what is the customer experience is on upswing or it's downswing, and is it really resulting into the benefit that we are looking at? I've created some kind of approaches and models together, and that is how, this whole book came about, doing that. And since I was able to, at least I was satisfied that this is a workable and doable thing, I started converting it into a book.
So you had noticed as an IT professional that some of the customers were not as satisfied as you would hope they would be. And as someone with an IT background, you started thinking of it systematically, like how do we model creating the best customer experience? You thought about it, you used your experience, you came up with a model, and it seemed to work well with your customers. And so you thought, wow, I've really got something here. I've got to put this in a book and share it with more people.
Absolutely.
That's great. That's great. So customer experience, as you mentioned, it's kind of a subjective thing. And you're like, what is the customer's experience? Like, there's a million different customers out there, and they each have their own experience and perception of it. A long time ago, I read a book called The Ultimate Question. Have you heard of this book?
No.
No. So in the Ultimate Question, they describe what they say is the ultimate question to ask, which is on a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend our services to your friends or family? Right? That is like the ultimate question. And then furthermore, what they do is they take that number, they survey all these customers, and if it's a 9 or 10, they consider them to be a promoter. They're going to go out and tell their friends and family or colleagues to use your service. If they're 0 through 6, they're a detractor. They're going to tell people not to use.
Correct.
And then 7 or 8's kind of middle of the road. They're neutral, and so they take the count of the percentage of promoters, subtract the percentage of the detractors, and they get the net promoter score, which is like it has been, I think, and still is a big metric in the industry to measure customer. So I know you thought out your model very well. Do you talk about measuring experience?
Yes, and I think as you mentioned, NPS is a pretty popular way of measuring your customer experience. There are different ways of surveying, and different things which are also used by multiple industry companies. What I've observed was this particular method requires a physical, or maybe the physical intervention of customer. They have to respond to you.
Yeah.
Unless and until they respond to you, you will not be able to get the full picture of what's the real satisfaction level. Only many a times which I have seen is most of the people who are not happy predominantly respond to your such surveys. If somebody is really happy, there are less chances that that particular customer will automatically respond to you, unless we really go after them, and then maybe they are committed to do that and other things. So there are chances of getting it skewed. So what I have suggested was to use an indirect method where we don't have to trouble customer to really have to answer to us, but we should have a different way of capturing their experience based on their reactions, and then the kind of reactions they give to us in different interactions, and we build a model for that particular interaction. I've suggested a model there to build that particular aspect, and that will give us customer experience, and I call that as a customer experience on the go.
Customer experience on the go.
Yeah. So basically, this is something which you build a model based on certain types of interactions you have with customer and an expectations from the interactions. If certain types of expectation, certain types of reactions you get during that interaction, you give a certain points to your interaction. And then certain sometimes you get positives, sometimes you get negatives, sometimes you get escalations, sometimes you get really a new business. You can visualize what could be a possible interactions results, and based on that you point them, and then that point total can be tracked.
Yeah.
So every meeting, after every meeting, if you are kind of honest to yourself, you can fill this interaction yourself. You don't have to really ask customer about anything. So yourself,
Yeah.
if you do it, it goes into your database. You can treat it how the whole thing is trending. So every meeting after meeting, then you can consolidate it across multiple customers, across multiple aspects, and then you can do a lot of things with that data which you have, and then you can predict whether your customer experience is on the high or it's going to do, or maybe certain level, because many a times I have seen in our area is customer experience at different levels of the organization of customer is different.
Yeah. So in with the Net Promoter Score, that's like just like one tool that a company can use to measure hundreds or thousands or millions of customers' experience, quantify it, and that's one tool, a useful tool. But in your book, you have a model that looks comprehensively at the entire experience of the customer through various types of interactions, and it models it. And we've talked about the model several times before. This is based in part on Maslow's hierarchy. So maybe Tommy can pull up
Okay. Yeah.
Maslow's hierarchy so we can talk about that.
Correct. So let me tell you.
For listeners too, if you're watching on video, we're putting it up on the screen for you to see.
Sure. So before going to this particular thing, I wanted to basically say one thing here, a very critical thing, as to what is the customer experience, how the customer experience is formed.
Okay.
It is basically a satisfaction of a need of customer.
Okay.
Determines your experience.
Okay.
So customer's need, how critical this need is,
Yeah.
and what, once it is satisfied, what is the impact it is creating on customer's life or psyche or anything, determines the experience what customer gains during that interaction.
Sure.
And that is something which is very critical. And then when if I find, it's basically if a need is to just get something from a grocery store.
Yeah.
So any grocery store can give me that experience. That, okay, I want to buy milk. Okay, so that's fine. So, but then once you start, looking at the need, could be the milk should be of this category, this type. Then you start the need is, and then the need could be deriving because of your health requirements. Then your the experience you will get from different stores will start differing. Certain stores will keep those brands, certain things will keep those brands, but those brands might be expensive or less. So then it starts building on what is the level of need that is getting satisfied. Now that is where Maslow's hierarchy came into play. So when I was because in my studies also I've read Maslow's hierarchy. It's based on human being gets satisfied once starts his basic needs, different levels of needs once it gets satisfied, and that is where from it goes from lowest level to the highest level. So
yeah. So to kind of summarize that, I think that's really great, because when we say customer experience, it's kind of abstract, right? But then if you point to like customer experience as the satisfaction of certain needs the customer has, then we can start to flesh it out. And Maslow's hierarchy helps us start to understand what those needs are as a starting point. But you go further to make it really specific to customers' needs in their experience.
Correct. So when we have a Maslow's hierarchy, it is applied to all the human beings. Now, so when we transpose this particular hierarchy is to between supplier and a customer.
Yeah.
So Maslow's hierarchy provides a satisfaction of needs of a human being from life. If we look at satisfaction of needs of customer from the supplier, that is how you start building it. And then you start building level 5s. What is the basic level that a person should have? Ours is typically the food, shelter. So these are some of the basic livelihood requirements. So similarly, if it is a grocery shop, then the basic level that a person's needs to be satisfied are going to be the material, the item should be available. So that's the basic. If they are available, the basic level needs to go to grocery stores are satisfied. Now then we start looking at the second level of safety needs. So what does that mean? Is going to be a different level, okay, which goes into what is the safety, whether it is good to save there, is the parking lot safe, is the aisles are safe, there is no clubbing and all that kind. So then you start looking at, okay, those needs are also satisfied, then particular thing. Let's go to the next slide. This slide typically talks about how hierarchy gets built for a grocery store.
Okay.
Now these are all on the left hand side you will find a hierarchy for groceries. So level 1, what is level 1, what is level 2, what is level 3, what is level 4 and 5. So 5 is an ultimate thing that anything a person wants, he or she can go to that grocery store and that grocery store will have it. Now, if such a situation is there, then that is the highest level of satisfaction or experience a customer will get from that particular grocery store. And that person would be kind of, lifetime loyal for that particular store.
No.
Now, all these, the level of needs which get satisfied, based on that, the loyalty or the, satisfaction builds into. And that is what finally every organization is trying to strive, that all their customers should be loyal and they should start keeping more and more, revenue, giving it to the customer. So that is something which we should not stop at this level. Then, as I mentioned, that each individual is different, right? And their needs are different. So it needs to be further granularly moved forward into make some segments of your customers, make some categorization of your customers. Now here in this example, I have shown the two categories of a grocery store. One would be, the customers who are older than 60 years and customers who are younger than 30 years. Now, these are same customers in the one household which will be going to a grocery store. Now, experience for both the segment will be different based on what needs of that segment are being satisfied.
Yeah.
Now, younger generation will require maybe a coffee shop, maybe a Wi-Fi, maybe, everything, on the go available. Whereas, the elder generation will require maybe spacious aisles, everything should be clearly laid down. The whole requirements are different. And that is how you start building up your initiatives. For any grocery store, if they want to build an initiative to attract a specific type of customers, then they should look at, what is there in their store, what is happening, which of the needs of their customers are getting satisfied fully, which are not satisfied, or which are, partly satisfied. And then they start building their initiatives to satisfy those gaps. Once those gaps are satisfied, automatically that category of customers are going to come and they are getting more satisfied, and then there are going to be better experience, and then loyalty builds in. So this is whole, the way, this particular model needs to be used by all the organizations to build how their customers are looking at themselves, what are the gaps in their needs and the satisfaction, the services provided by the organization, fill those gaps through initiatives, and then build your customer loyalty again and again. Now, this is something which is a cycle. Every periodically you can start looking at these things every 6 months and then see where it goes and other things. So that's how you can use this particular model.
Yeah, and so in other words, your model looks at each of these different levels of need that a customer has, and through the interactions comes to understand how those needs apply to your customers, so that you can craft the customer experience to meet those needs. Just to kind of make a concrete example, you were talking about grocery stores, right? And you can buy the goods at a grocery store, and most grocery stores, that's true. It meets their level 1 physiological needs. Level 2, like safety needs, you have lights in the parking lot, so it's well lit. Maybe there's one of those police camera towers in the back to watch your car while you're shopping. That gives people a sense of safety. The third level, belonging and love. And what that made me think of in the context of grocery stores, some of these like Costco and Sam's Club, you have to be a member to shop there.
Yeah, it is more from belongingness, and then it's basically thinking from the point of view of customer. That means that is the belongingness.
Sure.
Like, okay, I am looking at from the customer's view, and then building up a kind of facilities for them, building up additional services for them. For example, if there is a grocery shop, and then they also build a kind of child care there just next to them. So anybody who are kind of not able to spend time in their grocery shop, they have to really rush quickly because they don't have a child care, or they have to get somebody to look after their child at home. They can peacefully keep their kid entertained, and then they can spend more time in grocery store.
Sure.
Which basically helps in building business, as well as more satisfied customers. So this is something we are thinking from the on the behalf of customer, that if customer feels okay, you are really understanding my problems, just not giving me say grocery items.
Sure.
So that is what is the belongingness. So as you go more and more up, the kind of needs will be different.
Yeah, no, for sure. That I think that child care next door is a great example. I was thinking in the case, like when I go shop at Costco, I have to show my membership card to enter the store, and maybe it's subtle, but I think there's that thought in my mind, like, I'm a Costco member, I can shop here, other people cannot shop here, and I'm part of the Costco shopping community.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah,
maybe it's minor, but it's certainly got a psychological impact, and they do it for a reason, so that you have some sense of belonging and loyalty to that particular store.
Correct. So it is basically it's typically more of a brand which gives you a status high. If you want to just talk about, like, I'm shopping at this particular shop, and then so I'm a little different.
Yeah.
Okay. So same thing, typically many of these grocery stores will have sports associated with them, or maybe a sportsman associated with them. Why? And that is something which gives a high for the customers, that I belong to that community which is connected with this this particular thing.
Like Kroger has a NASCAR sponsorship or something like that.
Yeah, so Nike does that very well with respect to belongingness for and status for this is 3 and 4. We are clubbing it together.
Sure.
So Jordans. Okay, so that is typically created. You are like Jordan, and that is why you start wearing those shoes, and then you feel connected, and that is the status kind of high a kid will get when he or she buys a Jordan shoes.
Yeah.
They are very expensive than the normal shoes, but still people will go for it, and then they will create that loyalty, and then they create. So that is the status which it offers to the customer.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, the above belonging and
Correct.
love in
Yeah, yeah.
Maslow's hierarchy of esteem, which
Correct.
covers
Esteem and
things like
status and
respect,
correct.
self-esteem, and then the highest level, self-actualization. And in your book, you really give a lot of examples and explain how to understand all these levels in the realm of your customers and making sure that they have the highest level of fulfilling needs through your services as possible. Now, you mentioned before how this model, while you talk a lot about business, it also applies to personal relationships, and you've given some examples. So tell us, like, how would I understand someone that I have a personal relationship, like their needs as thinking of them as my customer? How does that look?
So look at I'll just take every home will have this particular dilemma happening. Either it could be mother and a daughter. If you look at a simple relationship, most of the love between them is almost same. There is no change in the love right from the childhood. Mother loves daughter, and she wants to give everything so that to make the daughter happy.
Yeah.
But as the daughter is growing up, there is a change in the daughter's needs. Okay.
Yeah.
What at the younger age, daughter will need everything fed to her or given to her. As she grows, then she would like to do something on her own.
Sure.
She would like her own space, and then she may not want everything to be given or done by the mother in the same fashion. If once the daughter gets into a teenage, she wants full freedom and nothing. She loves mom, but she doesn't want mom to come that close and then do everything for her.
Sure.
So, but then if these are some of the needs which change. I'm just taking one single simple need, but then a lot of other things will change accordingly. And then if once they start understanding that the needs are different, then say mother acts differently based on those needs. Okay, that is something the relationship is maintained. They start becoming friends when the daughter is just above teenagers. So they start, and then the relationship does. Otherwise, there are always clashes between a daughter and a mother.
Sure.
So that's, and then same thing, if you apply it, mother's needs also. And the kids, as the mother grows older, her needs are different.
Sure.
And her expectations from the daughter are different. Now they need to understand that, a daughter typically is always used to receiving from mother. As mother grows old, it is expected that the relationship changes.
Sure.
And then the mother needs something which are to be satisfied by daughters. So if they understand the dynamics of that particular stage of their life and the needs of each one of them, then it becomes easier for understanding each other and then satisfying each other.
Sure.
Now, this is it's a very simplified example. I have tried once to do that a little bit more granular level. It helps, but then it becomes very personal. So better to be done by individuals to start looking at it and then start working on those things. If we find there is some gap that in the need satisfaction, then it should work. Now, this can be used for a manager and a subordinate also. Sometimes, the relationship is not good or maybe something goes wrong and somebody is not happy. So those things also, something would have gone wrong means some needs is not satisfied.
Yeah. On the back of your book, you have this line. It says, I have a very happy customer, but I did not get my contact renewed. right? And it makes me think like you can say like you're in a sense when you're an employee, your boss is a customer of yours in a way, and you like, well, every day the boss seemed to be happy, but I didn't get the raise, right? Or in your personal situation, I went out on this first date with this lady and we seemed to have a good time and we had a good conversation, but she didn't accept an invitation for a second date.
Yeah.
Right. And all those are like customer experience situation where some higher need of that customer, the boss or the date, didn't get met.
Correct.
And using your model, you can help to investigate those situations and try to understand what those needs were that weren't met.
Correct. You summed it well.
Very cool. Well, I'm really excited about your book. I'm particularly, I want to read your book and see about how treating yourself as a customer is also works within your model. I'm totally fascinated by that idea. But I think that's it for today. For our listeners, do you have any parting words or a call to action for them?
Sure. I think this model is a good model. I have myself used it, and I would like you to use it for your professional as well as a personal life. And the book, I would like you to read the book, give me your feedback. It's available on Amazon in Kindle version as well as in the print version. So you can feel free to read it and give me a comments. I'm looking forward to your feedback on how you have used it, what worked, what didn't work, and then we can always together improve the model. That's what I feel we should.
Feedback. Do you have a website or something where
they can send the feedback on Amazon itself?
In
the book reviews, comments.
Yeah.
Or there is a email ID I have written. I also have a blog which they can refer to and then give a feedback.
Where do they find your blog?
It's on the Blogspot. It's called Personal and Professional Excellence at Blogspot. So that's something where you will find my other thoughts and some of the ideas which I'm working on to work on.
Okay, there you go. Thank you, Vijay. And yes, you heard Vijay. Go check out his book. It's available on Amazon, in Kindle, in physical. I highly recommend the physical book because it's a very beautiful book. There's color illustrations on almost every page. So check it out. Order a copy on Amazon. Check out his blog on Blogspot. And in our next conversation with Vijay in the next episode, we're going to talk about storytelling, especially in the realm of leadership. So stay tuned for our next episode with Vijay, and we will see you on D50 After Dark.